3 hits tonight, but you sent Chris up there. Was that still the easy decision for you? You just like the matchup there? Or?
It was not a bad decision. Both of them, that's what you like. I think Chris was 1 for 1 off Belisaro, but Delman messed it up by being 2 for 2 off of him. So not really a bad one. Delman had done a good job for us again tonight. And you can tell how hard that is to sit around like Delman has and come in there and face Chris Sale and get 2 hits off him. I thought Caleb had a big home run to get us back there. Now he's starting to swing the bat a little bit like the guy that, very close to the Eastern League MVP last year. But Brocky had 2 good innings, kept him at bay. I thought way in was good again.
So the first time you've ever been able to pinch hit a 53 home run guy?
We have depth. We have some depth. No, it was, it's funny how I was thinking about before I came down here that I think players, as you mature, you come in a certain day and, Chris and I talk a little bit about how much I want to get Delman in there for some at-bats. But, from like the 5th inning on, he was up the runway preparing for an at-bat. I told him before the inning, they had downs up trying to keep Chris from hitting. Situation never really presented itself. But he put a good swing, I think, on a breaking ball. Adam wore 1. He's always talking to our guys about wearing 1, and he did. And Stevie again.
How tough is it to do what Chris did, especially considering the fact that he doesn't pinch hit much? I mean, it's a situation where he's not sitting around very often.
Probably not in the last couple of years, but he probably has at some point. And it's tough, I'm sure, but he prepared himself for it instead of, there's no woe is me, as he knows that at some point the club's going to need a good at bat from him. He prepared himself for it from about the 5th inning on. And he made some good plays at third, boy. It's tough because we had a lot of opportunities. We just couldn't cash them in. Just couldn't, we had some good innings. We just couldn't finish them off with that one big, it's real proud of everybody after, you faced Tanaka yesterday and you're sitting there with Chris Sale today and you got Quintana tomorrow, who's a good pitcher. So it's big leagues, a challenge around every corner.
Have you seen Caleb gaining a little more confidence at the plate? I know it's easy for us to ask that when you hit 2 home runs in 2 days. But he has a few hits last.
It depends on how you define confidence. He's got such a healthy. When you work as hard as he has at 27, 28 to get here, he's had a few people along the way that probably didn't think he could, and I don't think he ever takes an at-bat or a start or an opportunity for granted when you've had to work so hard to get here. And I think he understands. I think guys who go down that path understand how hard it is to get here, and probably it's harder to stay here. So, and I think, we don't put too much pressure on him and Nicky, but, they realize that, Matt ain't coming back this year. And so they know that we're counting on them to be good.
You talk about momentum, the next day starting pitcher and everything else, but when you look at the fact that you guys had a lot of those opportunities and couldn't bring them home, and we're down 2 runs going into the 8th inning and 1 run in the 9th inning, to win like that, I mean, how much of a lift can that give the team?
It depends on how good Miguel is tomorrow and how good Quintana is. I mean, you lose a tough game in New York and, it's a sky falling. No, you can't let it. And does this mean that you can relax your guard tomorrow and it'll just happen naturally? No, but there's certainly things you gain from it that it's always there. But, this season's so long and so challenging that, that's what's great about the playoffs because, if you can get there, there's a different mentality. As the games start dwindling after the break, the sense of there'll be another opportunity to get it going isn't there as much, and that's what we got to stay away from. Is we'll get it tomorrow. We'll do it. Our guys don't live in that moment. It's so easy to do that. Well, because there's so many games in a baseball season that you got to fight that mentality of saying, well, it's just one of those things, and we'll get it tomorrow. We'll get it tomorrow. And these guys realize that this is going to be hard to do, and it's not for the weak in knees.
You guys are 5 games over 500 now for the first time in, I guess about 5 or 6 weeks.
Are you? The other day, what was our high water point?
You were
was
sick. You were sick.
We got shot at.
You were
So we
sick.
got that going for us.
Yeah.
He was telling me this is the first time we had a walk-off home run since '88.
Shit.
Okay, I was like to say that's a pretty long drought.
Yeah, but the fact that without Matt, the team has gotten to that point. Is that impressive to you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. You talk about what ifs all the time, and there's certain guys that you replace at a different level. You're going to replace everybody, including me and you. I mean, we are going to be replaced at some point, and you realize that the other people that can, do these jobs as well as we can. But Matt, nobody's trying to be Matt, but you're trying to bring something that maybe somebody else can't. I don't know. It's the want to, and the guys like Caleb and Nick are they're trying to establish themselves. They don't like why, but that doesn't keep from why it's appeared. But they like the fact they're getting the opportunity. They got to take advantage of it because you never know what the future will bring for any of us.
Thanks, guys.